so that you can translate. Marta, in Spanish, say monkey butt in Spanish, please. Give a big shout out to Marta for translating in Spanish for us. That's just remarkable that we have people that are willing to step up and help participate in. But really quick, if we haven't met already, my name is Dustin Schaefer. I've been with Prove It really 8 years ago, almost to the day. I bought my very first pack. When we started, we had something called we had one option, one bundle. It was 75 servings, like 300 and I think it was like 390 or 410 shipped to your house. That was the only option you had. You couldn't try products. It wasn't really sampling, hadn't happened yet. So that was really the beginning, and it was exciting because we had this huge, amazing product and this opportunity to go change our life forever. And so that's how I got started. I've been with Prove It now for 8 years, and they've let me talk a little bit here and there. And what we're going to talk about today is really Keto Kademy and how to leverage and utilize Keto Kademy as an opportunity for you to grow your business. And for some of you, it might be the most important opportunity, or one of the most important opportunities for you. So when I got started here, I had a call with Brian Underwood, not knowing circumstances, situations, not knowing Prove It, never did network marketing before, or community-based marketing is what we call it. I didn't understand. The first question I asked Brian, I go, why don't we just sell this in like Whole Food shelves or the health food store? That's exactly what I asked him. I go, why don't we do that? And he goes, well, first, he goes, you wouldn't be here talking to me if that was the only option. He goes, so you wouldn't have had an option to sell or help build a business. I'm like, touche. So he goes, that's number one. He goes, really the most important thing, he goes, we need to do is like, we have a product that's really intelligent. We have a product that is backed by scientists that is extraordinarily diverse and more to it than we even realize today. And he goes, I want Prove It. This is before I was like, I Prove It now too, but this is him because he owned Prove It. Prove It is him, right? He goes, I want Prove It to lead with education. And he goes, and this is when he told me the mission statement, y'all. The mission statement the little videos that you all saw, they didn't exist yet. If anybody's ever seen the Inspire video, or has anybody ever seen, any of the Brian early videos, we hadn't shot any videos yet. They didn't exist yet. So he goes, Prove It is a company that is about inspiring people to become the best version of themselves. First off, you become the best version of yourself, and then you inspire others to do the same thing. He goes, we are going to lead with education. He goes, we're going to be innovating new products and new programs to help change the life of people's lives around the world. Now, this means a lot. This is really robust and really in depth. We don't just have the leading education in health and wellness. We also have the leading education in entrepreneurship and personal development. So I want you to keep in mind what we're really putting together here. It's really special. But I go, what does it mean to educate? Like, what does that actually look like? And so we got to set up our very first event. It was called Keto Kademy. It was in Tampa, Florida. And for whatever reason, he let me host it. It was 2:00 in the morning. And he goes, hey, Dustin, you want to host tomorrow? And I go, sure. And he goes, really? He was genuinely surprised. I didn't sleep that night. I got up the next day. About 5 minutes before I walked on stage, he goes, so say this. He waited until 5 minutes before to tell me what to say. And now we're 14 Keto Academies later, here with you all. So I wanted to tell you all that backstory because the staple of what we started when I got part of Prove It was lead with education. Now, there's more to it than that. We can't only be educators. We have to inspire people. We have to show people dreams and visions and get people, because if we don't have people that want to build a business, just want to learn science, you're not going to business. You got to have both. You got to have all parties of this. And so I want to say hi to everybody quick. No, yeah, just okay. Okay, just don't sit by me. So here's what I want to do. In the chat, do me a huge favor, and I want you to put down, have you been to a live Keto Academy before? Have you been to a live Keto Academy before in the chat? If you've only seen virtual, I want you to put just virtual or put V on, or just put no in the chat. Scott, you don't mind? I would love for you to, Jack, can you do me a huge favor? It is the same in our room, isn't it? So can you, Jack, can you unmute and tell me why Keto Academy is the reason why you're with Prove It today? I'd love to hear this.
You bet. Can you hear me okay?
Like that.
I can.
Do I sound like a little kid?
The same thing that got.
You sound good. You sound like a little kid. That's okay.
I hear a little kid in the background. I wasn't sure.
That's me.
Oh, okay. Well, excellent. Then I know where it's coming from. Yeah, so in 2016, my sister had gotten involved in drinking ketones, and she had given me some ketones, and I was so excited for her and her husband, her now husband, because they had such an incredible response to it. And I didn't have an initial response to it. So I said, I'm happy for you. It's great. You guys are happy. And then she went to a Keto Academy. And as I tell the story, she grabbed me, she tied me down to a chair and said, bro, you're the science guy. You need to understand why I'm so excited from the science point of view. And literally, I couldn't believe what I didn't know about my body and the health and how ketones would work. And that led me to try the product again, knowing what I knew. And I had my experience, and I jumped in on July 1st and just never looked back. And then my
Awesome.
first Keto Academy experience was live as well. And that's when I met you. That's when we had these roundtables, and we just, the community is amazing. But honestly, the science is why I'm here. The community is just the non-sugar icing on the cake.
That's awesome. Do you remember, was it one thing you heard at the Keto Academy that got you, that you're like, okay, this is a game changer. This is why I want to stay with this and be a big part of it? Was there one thing, or was it just the whole experience?
MCT transporters, to be sciencey. That's all I'll say. That was like, holy beep. That was
all right.
That was it for me.
That's awesome. I appreciate you sharing that, because one of the things when we got started is, like, what happens is people get excited when people know there's scientific proof that shows that you can get sold on something or try something, have an experience on something, but as soon as you're informed and educated, it changes the way that you believe it. It changes the way that you perceive it. To be honest, as soon as you increase, anybody ever heard of things like biology of belief, or believe in what you're doing? That we teach this and prove it all the time. Like, you're manifesting and creating your future, right? Well, the more that you believe it's going to work, the more it's going to work. Diane, it's one of my favorite books, Mr. Lipton, Bruce. But the more that you believe it's going to work, the more it's going to work. So if you have people that are maybe trying to figure life out or trying to figure this out, what I really want you to do is bring them in, and the goal is to get them to Keto Academy, which we're going to talk about here in just a few minutes. But I want to kind of set a stage of, like, leading with education is a huge part of this. I want to remind everybody, it's not just about keto education. This is not just about health education. This is about entrepreneur education. This is about mindset education. This is about development of people. 1 second, y'all. She's getting mad at me now. I made her step out. But this is about educating people to become better versions of themselves. Now, the key here is, how do we get people to participate in Keto Academy? Before, the only way to see a Keto Academy, you literally had to fly to an event. There are events for 5 days long. The first 2 days would be Keto Academy, and then we'd lead into a more event. So they're like literally 5 or 6 day long events. So we would get there a week ahead, or not a week ahead, but we'd be there for 7 to 8 days preparing for these events. Now we have the luxury of having them right here in our back pocket. We have the luxury of having them right here as a virtual event. And we're going to do something special for this Keto Academy that we've never done before. If you guys all want to learn about it early, I can tell you now. Otherwise, we can wait until tonight to learn about it. But then what we're going to do is we're going to come up, and I want you in the chat too, is I want you to think about this. And as you're typing in the chat, I want you to type in, what made you, what was said to you? Because remember, every time we've all heard, like, hey, what do you know about ketones or ketosis? We all know about piquing curiosity or attraction marketing, right? We're all familiar with that. But one of the things that we have to keep in mind is that every single event, we still have to do the same thing for. If it's LCD, if it's Keto Academy, if it's Epic, our job still is to pique curiosity, to attract people to the event. Does this make sense? So there's a difference between, if you right now were to go on social media or go to your 10 best friends and say, hey, drink this product because it's really good for you and it helped me lose 30 pounds. How many of them would have said yes? It would, and I'm just going to tell you the answer. Not as many as if they go, if they're like, damn, what are you doing? What's this all about? What's the attraction? The allure is really important. So when we're thinking about Keto Academy, the same thing wants to do. We want to tell people, yeah, this is what's going on, but we also want them to go, what is it? Why should I participate? What's in it for me? Holy cow. Why, like, how do you know this? You know, like what we need to get them thinking about, we want to attract them to the event. We want them to ask questions. We want them to be curious of the event. So then when we invite them, they're already more open to listen rather than telling them. Does this all make sense? So for some of us, when we think about events and when you think about a penny an event, it's all the same as it is when you're introducing ketones. The same thing with more, the same thing with LCD. How many right now have you told people about Keto Academy and they haven't taken it serious? They're like, whatever. Or they don't even ask questions. You tell about it and they're like, whatever. All right, whatever. What if we were able to use the same principles that it takes for us? This is within your own team. They're already committed. They're already using ketones. You can literally tell your 5 favorite customers, and you could say something. I'm just making this up on the spot, by the way. But you could say something like this. I didn't know what ketones did for my brain until I saw one video. And now that I know that my brain shrinks as it gets older and ketones are vital for that, it forever changed my life. But the doctor that is speaking tonight may explain that, may not, or something that gives them an interest. That was really bad, by the way. Somebody clean that up for me and write it better than I just said it. But what you're wanting to do is you want to get them thinking to ask you a question, right? You want them thinking to go, what is that? Well, I don't know all this stuff, but the doctors that are speaking tonight, they know all that. That's how I learned this stuff. That's why I still drink it. And when I'm going to drink it when I'm 70 is because what it did for my brain. They talked about some like nootropic thing or some type of brain thing that I didn't quite understand. So you don't have to be like Jack and know actually what it said. You want to be somebody that's creating curiosity for them to ask. So there's 2 things that are going to happen. They're either going to get on tonight or they're not going to get on tonight. If they don't get on tonight, what that does is it gives you the ability to follow up with the Prove It TV video, right? Because we still want to educate them. We know that if they're educated, they're less likely to stop the product. We know if they drink the product longer, the more likely they're going to share it and the longer they're going to stay on it, right? Of course. So I want you to think about this as a business. Our goal, the secret weapon is 60 days. If somebody drinks ketones for 60 days, the likelihood of them stopping is extremely low. So if you want to grow a business, you want to get people to drink it for 60 days. Now, if they do stop, they all come back. Everybody comes back, right? But if the more that we educate them, the more they're likely to add another product. They're also more likely to share what they learned to somebody else. So this is a huge stepping stone, especially for your new promoters. If you're a brand new promoter, Keto Academy is vital. Your belief goes way up. This is also really important because your customers, if you ever want your customer to share, get them educated. Doesn't mean they need to know it. What we want is their belief to go up. We want their belief to rise. As their belief rise, they're more likely to share the product. So I just want to re-anchor why Keto Academy is what it is. It's not just for the nerdy person to get nerdy, right? It's not for the person that's really smart to get smarter. This is for the person that doesn't know or is wavering in their own belief of should they stay on this or why are they not just doing some other crazy product on the market right now, right? Because they don't know what ketones are. So we're competing. It's weird to think we're competing with crazy bad products because they're really good at marketing and sales. Well, how do we beat them? Is that we still be good at marketing and sales, but we also add education that increases their belief for them to forget the other stuff, the other noise out there. Because right now, somebody else's friend selling them some crazy herbal tea, something else that's worth nothing, that's going to do nothing, that's not going to help them get anywhere, right? We already know that's happening. So how do we overcome that? Is we want to increase their belief. So we want to attract them to these events. We want to get them excited about the event. And the only way to do that is to be excited yourself. You have to be excited about the event, right? And you can go, I'm not sciencey. And I want everybody out there to stop saying it in a way that is minimizing you. I want to rephrase that. How many of you said that? I'm not sciencey. I'm not nerdy. I want you to stop saying that to minimize you. That's like saying well, I'm not really into money, but I'm going to build a business. Well, bullshit. You're into money. You want to build money. You want income. Like, stop saying that. That's creating the wrong message. Hey, I don't have a science background, but I'm fascinated how ketones are helping my brain and why they help my mom so much, right? You don't have to know why it works that well, but what we want to do is if we come out saying like, I'm not sciencey, I'm not nerdy, but this is good. What you're kind of saying is like, well, this is all above my head. I don't really care that much about it, but it's still important. No, this is extremely important because right now, if you go back and if we looked at the numbers of every single person that's attended Keto Academy, what are the likelihoods of them still drinking the product a day? And it's exponentially higher because once you know that what it's doing for your body and your brain long-term, you cannot stop. Does that make sense? So I want you to think about it from like, listen, we get this. Yeah, I don't have a science background, but I'm fascinated on how well this works for our body. Half the stuff goes over my head. That's okay. But it's extraordinary. It's really important to me that I know that I'm providing the right stuff for my family and kids. And this is the information that tells. So I know that the doctors are real here that are really helping us live better. And if you really want to help your family, I would suggest checking it out. When is it? It's tonight, right? So I hope that makes sense. I just want to share that for you from the bottom of my heart. Like this is a really important thing. It is the first big event that we ever put on, just to show you Brian's prove its weight of where they prioritize education. And that's why we say we lead with education. But I do want to reiterate one more time, it's not just keto education. This is about health education, better education, muscle preservation. This is about everything anti-aging, longevity, fat burning. It's also, we educate on personal development, personal growth. Education is vast. It's just one component of our educational platform. But with that said, I'm going to pause for just a second. We got 12 minutes to now invite. So we have less than 8 hours before, 9 hours, 10 hours, 8 hours or something like that before our event starts tonight. We still have time to get people to the table. Remember, it's about the invite. It's not necessarily that they always show up. It's about the invite, because what it does is it gives its ability to follow up tomorrow night. But I told you one thing first. I told you that they were doing something different tonight, and I want to express that. If you guys want to hear it, again, I guys got to see some chats. So I'm going to drink me some drinks. I'm just going to assume everybody said yes. Did anybody say no? Anybody say no? All right. So for the first time ever, what we realized, it's time to evolve. And what we realize is that we can inform people. We can get people the best information in the world. Now, who is that more? And when I did the interview with Ryan and Jacob about application, and Jacob said, well, I can have a couple. I would suggest, I asked him, I go, what's a snack that people would think they shouldn't have, but that you have anyway in the afternoon? And he goes, popcorn. How many of you guys remember when he said popcorn? Did any of you feel like you had 1,000 pounds taken off your shoulders? Like you'd have to be perfect. And oh my God, like you have to, like eating it right now, somebody said. So we decided that it's time to start not just educating, but also educating in a form of application. So we're going to start, this is our reiteration of now, it's like, how do we get educated from a scientific perspective? And then how do we create an application for people to apply it when they go home? Because what we're finding is that people are competitively fasting, meaning that they're just trying to not eat food forever. Well, that doesn't work, right? People don't know how much protein to have. They're like, what does that look like? How many people are going, well, I got to follow a ketogenic diet, even though you told them 19 times that it's not a ketogenic diet, but they think that's what they have to do. So what we're doing is we're going to start providing an application at the end of Keto Academy. So we're going to start with science, and then we're going to transition it into application. This is for your customers, for yourself, for prospects to know that I can do this. This is real to me. This sounds safe to me, and I'm going to be able to do this. So I'm super, super excited about that. So that will be tonight and tomorrow, and it's going to be really cool. You're going to learn a little bit more about the different products, applications of those different products, is how to utilize them in different forms or fashions. If you want to use it as a sleep tool, we're going to go into different ways to utilize our products for sleep, and I'll explain that in different layered aspects. So if your customer is on here, most likely your customer is buying new product and more products, because we're going to get into more application, not just of the products, but of life, like the significance of movement. Like, how do you do that? You need to, really, it's not even an option. We need to start moving more. That's going to be a big part of this too. So we're going to encourage people all these applications so that they can get the best results possible, and you get the best results possible also. So what I need from you all, though, is sometimes I might need some questions. So feel free to hit questions. Sometimes we're going to need some perspectives or guidance, because this is part of our evolution of our education for people, and knowing that everybody's at different stages of their journey. So it's always important to recognize if we're talking to the brand new person. And remember, if you want to build a long, sustainable business, you're 99% of the time talking to the new person, not to who you are. If you've been in for a year or two, we're not really talking to you. We're talking to the new person, although there's always wisdom in what we say to the new person, because most likely it still applies to you. You just maybe forgot it or ignored it. So just keep that in mind also. But with that said, I'm going to bring a special guest on for a second and talk about some invites. So in the chat, while we're doing this, I want you to put in the chat, what's a good invite? What's worked for you to invite somebody to Keto Kademy? What's worked for you to invite somebody to Keto Kademy? Lynn, who's down in South Florida, I asked her to come on. She's world-class at inviting. And I will say this, if you're somebody that has like a text thread or an email list or whatever, those don't work very well to invite people. Now, some people, if you have enough customers, that's your only option, then good for you. But most of the time, personal invitations work better. A conversation works way better to get people to come join you than just a blast or a copy and paste. They just don't work that well. Your numbers are really low versus a personal connection. Okay. So Lynn, I know you're on the road right now. If you're able to, can you unmute and just give maybe 1 or 2 tips that you have of how to invite to Keto Kademy?
Hey, Dustin. Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, depending on where you are. I'm in sunny Florida, sitting here with my sunglasses on because the sun's blaring in my eyes. But look, the thing for me, Dustin, what I just heard you say is energy, right? Energy, my energy and your energy inviting people is what's going to attract them, right? So
right.
I was just with a customer of mine a few minutes ago, and I said out loud to her, I said, you're going to join me with Keto Kademy tonight, right? She was like, what are you talking about? And I said, girl, I sent you a text. Oh, was that a big eye opener for me, right? Because she didn't see the text. And I said, did you see your email? She goes, I delete every email I get from Prove It. Well, y'all, that's a really big indicator for me, is that's why, like Dustin just said, we need to make these personal invitations. And I love to use voice memo. Not everybody has an iPhone. Dustin, not everybody has an iPhone.
Hey, you're fired. If you don't have iPhones, you're fired.
Exactly. He told me when I first started with him, if you don't get an iPhone, I won't work with you. And I was like, I had an iPhone the next day, y'all. I'm coachable. But listen, not everybody has one. So there's ways to do this, right? And for me, I've reached out to people via text that did not have an iPhone. And I've said, hey, do you have a couple of minutes? I have something really important to share with you. Most of the time they come back and say, yeah. And yes, it's a personal phone call. So for me, it's all about the energy of what I'm inviting to. Dustin, did you ask earlier, like how many people have actually been to a live event of Keto Kademy? Okay, cool. Sorry, I had to hop on a little late. So if you have already been, take that energy. Do you remember what it felt like when you were sitting there? Look, I'm sitting there with my mouth hanging open half the time. I have to keep doing this. Like, are you kidding me? This does that too? And I get to share that with my customers, my potential customers, people that are on 5 days, 10 days, people that gave up. I can reach back out to them, but it's got to be that personal touch, like Dustin said. So I'm doing voice memos, and my voice memo goes something like this. Hey, Kim, oh my gosh, I don't know if you saw the email that Prove It sent you, and I am sorry, it's kind of late that I'm getting in touch with you. However, tonight, there are doctors like Dr. Ken Ford, who's going to talk all about anti-aging. We've got some other doctors like Angela Popp, who's been doing research on ketones, ketosis, and all things keto. They are going to share their most newest findings to us, and we're going to learn how to apply them to what we're doing while we're drinking ketones. Can I get you to hop on and listen for an hour, 2 hours, 15 minutes, whatever works for you tonight? We're starting at 6. Let me know. I'll send you the link. Was there a little bit of energy with that? Just a little bit, right? I asked for what I wanted for them to do. I didn't screw around and say, hey, how are you doing today? You can do that, you guys. I'm straightforward. I want them to hop on the call tonight. I also tell them a lot of times, Dustin, look, I didn't know until I knew. And what I know that ketones can do for me, you, and everybody else in the world, it's super important for you to hear it, because I've been learning this stuff for 5 years and I can't share everything I've learned with you in 5 years in just 5 minutes, but hop on and hear it from the doctors instead of me. So those are just a few things I wanted to share, Dustin.
Perfect.
For me, it's all about the energy, man. It's all about the energy and how we attract people to our energy that want to join. But I never make them feel bad if they can't. I say, hey, tomorrow night, we're going to be doing the same thing. Let's get it in your calendar and let's get it scheduled. I'll send you the link. Hope that helps some people out there.
Awesome. Awesome. It does. It does. And so just so you guys all know, I mean, you can do some social posting. You can do things like that. Use your curiosity posting. I think it's great. At the end of the day, this is an event. It's a personal invite. It is really important that we treat it that way. So here's my challenge for everybody as we get ready to wrap up our time is put your number down. Put in the chat, how many people are you going to personally reach out to invite to tonight? I would just invite to tonight and use tomorrow as a follow-up. Well, I can't tonight. Okay, we can jump on tomorrow then. So how many are you going to invite to? I want you to put it down in the chat. And then all I want you to do is I want you to double it. Whatever you put, double it and go hit that today. We have a few hours, use good energy. Obviously, we're not holding them to it, but what we are doing is we're gonna bring them something that's gonna change their life forever. Remember, what's in it for them, right?
Mm-hmm.
If they're looking at fat burning, like, hey, listen, these are the leading experts in the world on how to not only burn fat, but to maintain your weight once you do it, right? These are the leading. If you're into anti-aging, so like, make sure it's about them. What's their goal in it, and make it about them, okay? And then let's go out and share this message louder. But this is the other thing is, if you haven't registered already, make sure you registered and make sure you get on this. And I would take a few minutes to lock down. You can then follow up and say, hey, listen, they're going to be explaining how to apply it, how to, like, every like, if somebody's maybe on their journey and plateaued, you could say something like, hey, what is your, this is how it works, but you're also going to learn how to maximize the product also.
Mm-hmm.
So you can lean on that a little bit, because we're going to give them more insight for that too. So y'all, super stoked. 14th Keto Academy is tonight. The kickoff is at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So let's have a lot of fun with this. Let's make this bigger, badder, and more amazing than ever before. I will feed off of your guys' energy. I will even comb my hair for this one. So I'm super stoked. With that said, you guys have an awesome Monday. We'll see you all Wednesday back here. Remember, guest call Wednesday night. Also, Huddle call Wednesday at 9. Super stoked, y'all. Ciao.